evening, you guys. Oh, I hate the stairs. So, I was going to tell you all the drama about going. And things have been crazy hectic here. And I'm just now getting around to it. Okay. I don't even know where to put you because I do not have my tripod. He's actually downstairs. I'm headed to bed soon. So we got up. Sorry, I'm unpacking my pillows. We got up between 4 and 4:30. No, 4. Because we weren't sure if there was going to be snow and ice. Because we do have that. And we wanted, even though it is not far away, weird, even though we're not, extremely far away, still need time to get there. And so we got all the kids packed up, minus Xander, because Xander was still there. And I'm kind of glad he wasn't on this one. So, it was a horrific flight. But, I did not want to go in there. We get there. We have roughly an hour, and one very pissy teenager, Lexi, was told she could not drive. She was told that for a very specific reason. And it was because we had 50-mile-an-hour winds. We went to sleep with 50-mile-an-hour winds, and the house whistled. It was actually pretty awful. But, it's Mother Nature. There's little you can do. Can't control that stuff. Though I'm sure it would be nice some days. So, trying to get everything situated. Nothing is gonna work because I need to do other stuff. So she was mad, and I swear she was gonna get smacked. Yep, in the airport because she was trying my patience. So I already had to yell at her at almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I need to get some sleep. I need you guys to quiet down. And you guys need to go to sleep too. And that was one of the stipulations. You don't go to bed early. You're not driving to begin with. Because you are not an experienced driver on top of it. And we're going to drive in the dark. And all of that good stuff. So, it didn't happen. They were up until almost 1 o'clock, and then I had to get on to her. And then my body does this thing when I have stuff to do. It wants to wake up to make sure I'm not going to miss it. And so, yeah. By the time we got whatever, it's partially in there. Once we got to the airport, I am running on almost no sleep. Not cranky. Lex is really trying to make me cranky though. Because she just kept going on and on about how she couldn't drive and how dumb she was and experienced driver. Her little attitude went on for that day and the second day. So, so we got on the flight. Oh, we didn't get on the flight. Okay. We got there, we parked, we unpacked, we got checked in. They took our bags. There were 5 of us flying. There were only 4 bags. Anthony and I combined. Connor took a backpack. And, yeah, and Lex and Kyle had a bag each. So, all underweight, all under 50 pounds. We made sure of it, blah, blah, blah. So, there is a full flight. There are 8 seats and all of them are booked. And because it is a smaller plane, it isn't just a simple signed seats. They don't do that. This time there was, because they have to distribute weight. Well, I hear some chatter. There's a guy who's on the phone this entire time we are in the airport. Small airport, no big deal. And he has a connecting flight and all of that stuff, no big deal. They have a shuttle that takes you to the main airport. I think I've said this is an offshoot, it's not near PDX. And so, they need, because he came on with 4 bags. It was a limit of 2, I think is what it said on their site. And your, plane ticket. So, he is on there with 4. So, he is refusing to let any of his bags go on the next flight. Okay, so, and I don't know his situation. I know he just had a connecting flight, and I know how it is to be like, dude, I have a connecting flight, I need to catch it, blah, blah, blah. And so, they even tried to get him to go on the next flight, and he said absolutely not. Well, he asked a couple questions and then said no. And so, she brings me Connor's backpack and said, hey, can you carry this on your lap? I went, yes. And I already know that they are talking. And so I look at Anthony. I said, he won't let one of his bags not go. So, what do you feel about us letting all our bags go on the next one? Well, they could have just taken one, but I said, just do all 4 of our bags. If I have to replace clothing, I have to replace clothing. If I have to replace a bag. And then she goes, can one of you go on the next flight? And I said, I am traveling with 3 kids and a husband who doesn't like the flight. I am not willing to separate us. She asked him the same thing, and they were about to go ask. And the pilot had to actually put his foot down and say, dude, even with this family who has just given all of their baggage to the next flight for you to help you get to your connecting flight, you still have to give up one of yours or you're not flying at all. And so he gave up his. So they assigned our seats. We go to get on, and we're already late. So we go to take off. They set us, luggage in the butt end of the plane. Then I have, if you're facing, I have Kyle, Lex, Connor, some other guy, some random chick, the guy who had the connecting flight, and then there's Anthony and I who are in the very first seat that are facing towards the back of the airplane. Everybody else is facing towards forward.
I'm coming.
And Anthony's to my left, and I'm over here. The one guy is in front of me.
Could you take this?
Yeah. And so, we go to leave. Everything's pitch black. Pilots are really good. And so we go to take off, and we go to move, and we're kind of going, we're rocking. And Anthony's already, he's okay at first. Were you okay until, like, when we left the ground is about when you just stopped being okay with it?
Yeah. Oh.
What? Oh. Fat marker stealer.
I brought from work because that one had gone missing.
Anyway, okay, so we go to take off, and I'm sitting there. I have water. I'm sipping on water. Anthony's gonna read his book, except for it's pretty dark in the airplane.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was gonna be that dark.
Yeah, the sun, even though we left late, how late did we leave? Because we were supposed to leave
After
at
6.
6. And we didn't leave until, and land at 6:55, and we were like 10, 20 minutes late. So we go to get up, and now we're doing one of these.
Yeah,
And it's-
we landed. That was a miracle.
He's such a drama queen. It was bad. It's like literally, and at one point it felt like the butt end of the plane was trying to outrun the front of it. So I see Anthony and he's looking back, and our kids are not like right with us, which, I mean, it was still spitting distance. So it wasn't too much.
Are these the new ones?
That's one of them, yeah, and the other one's behind me.
Oh, I got one. Thank you.
No, I really just left it there, and I had no intention of giving you the pillow.
It's mine.
Anyway, and so we're up and down, and that was not the pilot, that was the wind. We're
Bullshit. That wasn't the pilot.
He's like, let's F with Anthony. Unfortunately, we were like a bag in the wind, like a plastic bag. It was awful.
That's one way to put it.
And so I could see Anthony is sitting like this. I'm looking for it. Oh, I was looking outside, and I like to try to see where we are, what I can see, you know, determine how much longer. And I looked down and I was like, oh, okay. And then it rocks. Violent turbulence. It was really bad. I hit my elbow quite a few times. I had to hold onto the window frame. And then I see Anthony do one of these. Fist. Like fist. And this.
Yep.
I was like, oh shit. And so I reached over and I grabbed the top of his hand, and he grabbed, I think, all 4 of my fingers.
Yep.
And grip. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be awful. This is a man who, on a jumbo jet, does not like to fly, does not like turbulence. If you want to see someone squeal like a girl, no offense. If there's like, whoop. And we've been on a big jet quite often when we've gone from Portland to California. And it is a bigger one.
I'm driving. I'm just driving. Or train. Trains are perfectly fine. They do their job.
And so we've had the turbulence where you kind of just drop a few feet, but it makes your tummy go 12 feet up. And he's groaned at that. Well, this one, he grunted quite a bit. And
I can tell you every time we dropped.
yeah, I could definitely look at probably your watch and see every time we dropped. So, oh, you're making me dizzy. Anyway, and so I'm holding his hand, and I think there was a 5-minute period where I didn't have to hold your hand, and then the turbulence started again. I thought, and I kept praying, God, just let us get through this. We will be fine. You've got this. You've got the pilots. You've got the passengers. Just let us get all there safely. Kind of calm down this stuff, please. And so it would be like just the first bout was probably a few minutes, if
Probably.
that. And then it was seconds of calm. Every few seconds, it would just like, and then it would go. And then it was, and then go.
Yes, dear.
And it was one of the worst flights I've ever been on. I teased Tina about when I flew out to do her wedding, it being bad. This was nothing compared. And they were explaining that these planes are really made for turbulence. They cut through better and they're safer than the bigger ones. I was like, well, you cannot tell my husband that because he is never going to realize that. And so, we get to one part. It was so bad. I was like, I was a little worried, and I was a little concerned. Connor was holding Lexi's hand. I found out just today, Connor was holding Kyle's hand at one point. Lex was in tears. Lex was holding Kyle and Connor's hand, and I felt bad because we were separated from them. But someone must have found something. That's baggy. So it was rough. And at one point, he was holding my hand, but he wasn't like squeezing it anymore. And I was like, "Ooh, shit, I might have to check his pulse." And then I heard him sniffle, and then I felt so bad for him. And I didn't know Lex had been crying too. And it was just, it was hellacious. We landed, which landing wasn't too bad. Like, he touched down pretty good, but it was still, it was flying in the wind, kind of, and going down. And then, Shauna and Jerry picked up the kids from us. All three of them did not want to stay with us because, come to find out, she told us 8:30, 8:50, our luggage would be there. No, that's when the plane from Port... So what happens is it goes from Pendleton, and I guess it depends on where it is really, or who is booked where it is. So the plane started in Pendleton. From Pendleton, it went to Portland, picked up people, came back to Pendleton, picked up people, and went back. Well, duh, it's an hour. So that was another 2 hours. So we had to wait for the plane to come back. And she said it would be like 8:55, and it was more like 9:55, which it wasn't okay. We were okay with, that, so everybody could go on that flight. And so we stuck around. The kids were tired. They didn't get much sleep. And so they left. They left us with the Jeep, and we waited around. We still had to go do some grocery shopping in Corvallis. And it was only an hour from Newport. And so we did shopping there and then went on with our trip. But we didn't think about it, and I was like, well, let's go get something to eat. We didn't, and I'm kind of glad we didn't eat before flying, because there was at one point, it was so shaky, I might have vomited. And so I got really queasy. And so when we got down and touched down, Portland, like, PDX has all of these shops right outside of it in this little area. And I was like, I know how to get to IHOP. We'll go eat breakfast. We walk in, and I realize, oh yeah, we're shut down. We're like super shut down right now. We can't even eat here. So we ordered food. It was 15 minutes. It wasn't too bad. And so, we actually drove around for a second, passed by IKEA, and we're just kind of talking, and we went over to, where did we go? Wendy's. We went to Wendy's, got some drinks, got multiple drinks.
Yeah. Because that's where I got the
Coffee.
the coffee, and we determined that it was coffee with Frosty in the bottom.
Yes, which was not bad. It was weird, but...
Because it didn't get mixed.
Yeah, that was the part of it. Anthony stirred it up, and I was like, okay, it's not bad. Yeah, because I got the peach lemonade or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and a 7-Up, a small 7-Up, because I was still very queasy. And then we just kind of circled back around, waited outside of IHOP to get breakfast, and then we took it back to the airport, parked, because we still at that point had an hour. And I convinced him to go inside and eat because it was getting cold, and it was that or run the Jeep, and I just thought that was silly. And so we went in, we ate, we kind of waited around. So the plane comes in, and it's got a mobile refueling station. And they pull out, and I don't know how to explain the sound, but it is a familiar sound. And it reminds me of, like, when you go to pull out... She's on a mission.
Oops. Oh, there it is. Yep. See, and I stop to pet her, and she leaves.
She just wants you to not be busy. Oh.
Well, I grabbed your tail. What did you do about it? Huh? What did you do about it?
What would you say that sound was? It reminds me of, like, like it was a toy. Like you pull the string out.
The pull cord.
Yeah, it was like a rip cord.
Yeah.
And you could, in here, go back in. So they use that to fuel. And all I hear is, that's why we, really? And I was like, what? And he's not being this loud. Because we can see straight out the door to the airplane. He's like, so they wrapped a piece of twine around it and went, and that's how we got here? I was like, that is the fueling station, Anthony. It is a mobile one.
It's a pull cord.
I said, so,
I'm convinced.
So is this airplane, they back it up until it clicks? That's the sound.
Oh, yes.
And they put like little things in front of it to hold the wheels. Everybody gets on the plane, and then they just pull the little black things. What are they? The
Chocks?
Yeah, the chocks. They pull the chocks, and then you just take off. And it is a single propeller, and yeah, it was a death mobile. I don't remember what he said, but
They need at least a couple more hamsters in there, or add a couple more rubber bands, whatever they need to make that plane better. 'Cause no.
needless to say, he's not a fan.
No.
So the kids were 2 hours ahead of us farther. So by the time we got to Corvallis, they were pretty much in Newport.
Oh, yeah.
So Anthony is not a good co-pilot. And I said, it's right off the highway. But turns out I was wrong. So we wanted to stop at Winco because they're always cheaper. Well, what we wanted was the Albany Winco because it really was right off the highway. And then we could have kept going down the road.
Let's addendum this. When we got off the highway, there was one that we got off right next to, and I'm like, we can go to that one, or we can follow the arrows to this other one. Oh, well, we could just follow the arrows. And I'm like, you're driving, whatever.
I said, we will listen. You're the one that picked it out. So he decides to also take us through the country, and I'm like, where are we going? I'm pretty sure we went through some sketchy neighborhoods on top of it, and then
Some of those houses were nice.
out in the middle of nowhere, and then you take a right, and then it's really out in the middle of nowhere. It is pretty. And you go up some hills, and you go through stuff, and then all of a sudden, it's like some hoity-toity area.
Yeah, it like opens up into, I don't know what town that was.
That was Corvallis.
Oh, there you go. So then it opens up and bam, we're partway there to where we need to be. And oh, here, have another Winco.
So, and that's what he goes, you could turn around. I went, yeah, but this sign, as we go over this bridge, it says Newport this way. So we're still going in the right direction, but it like really doesn't feel like it either. And I've been through Albany, but not enough to understand where I'm going.
I still got us there. I got us there quicker. And I got us to where you wanted to go at every stop and turn. It just wasn't the way you were used to going.
I know, and I was like, what are you doing? We're getting low on gas. They said, don't get gas until we get to the coast. And I'm like, and I'm a don't let it get under a quarter type of person.
Which is a good idea.
And so...
especially the fuel injector.
Yeah, so we're at half, and I'm like, we still have like an hour and a half to go. And so I did get a little worried a couple of times, but we got in there. I messaged the group chat that we were all in, hey, what's the highway I want to avoid? And then he starts taking us into a place that I don't know. So there's another little town. Is that one Corvallis? That one where it kind of goes off? I'd have to ask Jerry.
Yeah, because I don't know.
Okay, so there's one, it's like this way goes one way, this way goes the other. Those two don't meet. I don't know what town that is, but we missed all of that. Oh yeah, because it had to have been part of Corvallis. It had to be in the last bit of it because OSU is in that town.
Sure.
And that's part of Corvallis. Anyway, so we ended up he ended up taking us through some more shit, and I'm like, really, Anthony? Like, I just want to get out of here and get back onto the road. And it was bad enough that I was like, okay, let's go. We've got enough groceries, blah, blah, blah. And he's like still shopping for energy drinks. And I'm like, come on, let's go. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, well, it couldn't happen.
And then he just took off from me again. And I was like, alright, I'm gonna leave without him. Swear to God. And so, excuse me. So we get back in, and mind you, we are in a Jeep that we have laid down the back seat. We needed to take their stuff too, because unfortunately, or fortunately for the kids, they had taken them and we had to have their suitcases, which is not a big problem, but we were really getting low on space. And what we didn't know at this point is we really needed to pick up water. So we leave Corvallis. Oh, and I freak out because my heart rate is still saying it's in the 120s, 130s. Got one of those measures on my phone. It was lower. And it might have been because I was freaking out. It was a little high. But Anthony's was matching his watch. My watch was just acting up. And I don't doubt that my heart rate was probably there up there when we were in the air. And I think it got to almost 140. So we leave Winco. I'm like, should I go find an urgent care? And that's when Anthony was like, hey, check with your phone. And that's when we figured it out. I was having a little bit, but it was probably anxiety. I also, not only did my kids, but my friend's kid, went with Jerry and Shauna, and then they were a few hours ahead of us. But at that point, I believe they were napping, is what I was told. And so, we take off, we go through a bunch of neighborhoods again, come out into the tip of it. We missed almost all of Corvallis. It was definitely a weird way to go. And I'm just like, not sure where we are. And then all of a sudden I'm freaking out because I'm like, I don't think we're supposed to be on this one. I think we're lost. I think you're taking us on the wrong one because we wanted 20, not 34. We were on 20, but I didn't. But
no idea.
Yeah, me neither. But I also wasn't familiar with the way we were going, and I think that's what kind of worried me. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, wait, I know where we are. And then Xander had called to see where we were, so I sent him the location right before we had no service. He asked me a question. Oh, and then he checked the location and told Anthony how to send it to him. And he goes, yeah, you're in Corvallis. And he showed Shauna, and she goes, no, you are in the right place. You are going the right way. And then I really felt better. And then all of a sudden, we just had no service. So from Corvallis, it's just a bunch of country and mountains, and it is beautiful. And then when you come to drop into, you're coming back down the mountain to get into Newport, and you have a road, and Anthony tried to convince me that I could just go straight right into the ocean. You have businesses all down this line of the road on each side, and you see directly out into the ocean. It looks like it just goes on forever or just stops. It was actually a beautiful sight. And we had to stop and get gas, and it was cheaper. And I tell Anthony as soon as we drop into Newport, we need to get gas, and then the Jeep goes ding, and I was like, no one asked you. And then we were gonna go, it's like a couple miles down in Newport to the Walmart and get some more groceries and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, we needed eggs and milk. And so we stopped at some place called JC's, and it said something about shopping alone. So Anthony was a wiener and stayed in the car. Yep. And Shauna called as I was coming out of the store. I was like, you had good timing, because I'm walking out of, I think it's Thriftway is also its name too.
Maybe.
JC's, and I was like, I'm actually walking out of the place, and she goes, okay, I just took the kids to the rental. They're there. They're kind of tired, and Lex actually was asleep when I got in there. The boys were all bouncing off the wall and just kind of excited. And from Newport, it's just like a 10-minute drive, 20. It's not even 20. It feels like nothing. It's a really quick drive south, and we ended up in Waldport, and it is quite a beautiful community. There's one grocery store. Don't recommend shopping there, and it's just for the sheer fact that it's kind of expensive. JC's, I probably spent like $60, but they had like jerky and stuff, and what was it? Smoked chicken legs and smoked chicken breast.
Oh yeah, that stuff
is good. Beef sticks. And so I ended up just buying some stuff that I know that they would want, and just some breakfast stuff. I ended up making biscuits and gravy twice. And that night, actually, Jerry and Shauna bought pizzas, and what was the next night? I think, is that the night they made lasagna or something? I don't know. I had like this whole plan in my head, and it was actually nice to not be so rigid. And so I'm not a big pizza person. I had one piece that was good enough for me, but it was good because we were all tired and hungry. Anthony and I had been up since like right before 4, you think? Mm-hmm. And so we were really tired. We went to bed at like 9. We cuddled under the same blanket even. It was kind of cold too. Stupid look on your face. And so we did that twice, and then Anthony kept moving and like fluffing the third night, fluffing up the blanket so then I'd get a cold air. And I was like, I'm done. Because I got to the point where like almost every night I was freezing, except for one night where I woke up and like sweating. The bathtubs were not made for wide, fat people. So I ended up taking a shower, and somebody ended up in the shower with me every night. But it was nice. There was some, teenage drama. Lex was grumpy for 2 days. And then she was grumpy every other day, but so was Kyle. We didn't, Xander was a little mouthy when we got back up with him. And then we had a fairly good time. We walked down the driveway and down this little beautiful pathway that I had posted, and we were there. So it was like seconds to the beach. And it was really nice. Weather was a little iffy at times, but I guess that's typical for that area. You know, it'd be sunny one, and the day we left was beautiful. The waves, the ocean was like beautiful blue, not that gray, great ickiness from every other day. The waves were white. It was worth it. It just sucked that it was the day we were leaving. But we ran around, and so here's the why we should have picked up water is the water was awful. So Kyle calls us. Where were we? In Newport? We were almost there, and he goes, "Hey, can I make coffee?" And I was like, "Oh, good, there's a coffee maker," and I picked up coffee. And so when we got in, did you have a cup?
Not at that point. I got the second pot.
Okay, that was the next day. So I told Anthony it just doesn't taste good. It's off. So the next day I made it, and it was still like, and I was like, I don't know how to explain it. And I think Jerry and Shauna were over at that point. And I was like, dude, this anyway, so we ended up in the middle of nowhere, and there is snow at this point. Not on the highway, not so much on the roads, but on the side of the roads, there are. And I hated him at that point. I was like, really? This is not our van? Well, okay, it is our van, but we don't know it. We're not familiar with it. And we're trying to get home before it gets dark and the temperature drops. We were already, bouncing around 40s at this point now?
No, we had dropped into the 30s at that point.
Yeah, and so it is now an hour until dark. And we still have 3 hours.
Yeah.
And so it was touch and go. But when we got into Hermiston, there was no visibility. I had to follow the lines and hope I could follow them correctly. So there were areas, so when you go to drop down to Pendleton, because we still had cars sitting at the airport, you are coming down and it kind of curves. It's not a major curve, but it is a downgrade and a curve. You can't really see it. And because of fog, you really don't know where you are. And I swear it made that stretch of Hermiston to Pendleton a very short jaunt because you're worried the whole entire time. Oops. Ouch. And so, we got up to that. Anthony drove the van. I said, "Do you want the van or the car?" He goes, "Take the car if you want. I'll take the van if you want. I don't care." So we get into my car, and I started as we get there because we left Ellie, Lexi's car, at the airport because Xander did not want to do an 8-hour drive, 6-hour, whatever. I said, "You are more than welcome to stay." And there was a discussion about, I forgot all about that. We discussed letting him stay there for the rest of the school year. Shauna is a paid tutor, and she could help him get back on there. And it was his decision. We left it up to him, even though it really sucks as a parent, but you have to sometimes do what's best for your children. And so, I said, well, he at least needs... Okay, so, hence why we could only pick up one other car. And, so we were leaving Ellie for Jerry and Xander to come in on the 31st so we could do the rest of Christmas. And, so luckily I had given him the keys because I forgot to give them to him the night before. So we pick up my car. It is frosted. So I turn it on as we are pulling up the hill to Pendleton Airport, and Connor and I change vehicles. Anthony moves, and my tire is low. I get out and look at it. It is low. Nothing major. It's at like 24. The others are at 29. So it did warm up as I went down, and they all kind of went up. But it wasn't enough for my car to like it. And so it was still flashing. And brain fart. Oh, so I go down the hill. Anthony follows me in the van, and we go directly to, it was Sinclair's gas station. Put in air. Actually, he put in air because I have this fear that it's going to blow up in my face. I was like, wait. More. Wait. Okay, no, we're good. And we drive home. Heated seats. I was starting to get sore at that point, which was nice. Connor and I talked. Anthony was supposed to drive straight to Kyle's, and I was like, why is he behind me? Maybe he's going the back roads. Why is he turning with me? And so we were home, and they needed to make a pit stop. It's okay because I forgot one of Kyle's gifts, and then I let the other two have their gifts that night. They took Kyle home. He ended up staying. Oh, Joni was still here, and realistically, she wasn't feeling good. She should have just stayed the night. We would have been completely okay with that. And so we all did not stay up for very long after Anthony and Lex got back from Kyle's house. We were up another hour or two. Unpack the van because at this point we don't have Anthony's vehicle because we don't know exactly what's going on, except for Anthony's ABS brakes module did not get replaced after they ordered it, which was weird because we had to have all this stuff done to his car, like $1,000 worth of work, and they did nothing because the codes that were being thrown were no longer being thrown. And I'm like, it fixed itself? I'm not going to question it. So, yeah. I was like, well, if he's going to take the van and not my car, let's go ahead and just unpack it tonight. And then I definitely have to learn, because it's got the, are they considered stow and go? The seats? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the bench seat and then the two passenger seats, the ones behind the driver and the passenger, they're all stow and go. And we had one laid down because, like I said, we had 15 gallons of water, suitcases. Anthony and I's suitcase was fairly large. We had food. We had 4 kids. And then ourselves and whatever they needed and wanted. And so we had one of the seats down. Went to go put it up the other day. Thank God Jerry was still here because I could not get it to go up. I was like, what am I doing wrong? And it was something so silly and so simple. But at least I know how to do it now. I still don't know how to get the bench seat in the back down into the stow and go part.
You'll figure it out soon enough.
No, I won't. It has instructions on the back of the seats. I couldn't figure that one out. Anyway, so there's a catastrophe flight. The drive home wasn't bad. The only thing I didn't appreciate was the snow creeping in on us. Why can't I just hold you and not, like, somehow lick you or something? Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. I told you I would tell you about that traumatic part. And I finally got it done. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Stay safe, and I love you.